The day that I found out that I actually did have a job when I was going to move out here to Arizona was the very same day that my wife found out that she also had a job to move out here to Arizona. And that day was on a Friday. Now, as you may know, Friday is for Freya, Friday is for Frigga, Friday is for Venus. So we figure, the goddess of bounty, I think it would be pretty nice when we come out here, we hear about that when we come out here. And we come out here and it's bountiful in its own way, wouldn't you say? It is. The people that know how to live in harmony with it find it very bountiful. And people have lived here for thousands of years, understanding and living in harmony with that bounty. Now, when we came out here, there's another one. Hi. We came out here. My wife and I both got jobs interacting with the native people of this land. I thought that was another good sign, another auspicious sign. She worked and still works up there at the Phoenix Indian Medical Center, largest Indian hospital that there is. Got people from all the nations coming. Myself, I dealt with the remnants of the ancient ones of this land. How many people went to school here, did like 4th grade in Phoenix? Anybody want to? Well, I hear tell that one of the 4th grade trips for Arizona history is going to the museum, to the Pueblo Grande Museum. That's what, when I worked there, and that's where I worked. I worked at the Pueblo Grande Museum. You know all these canals that we have around here, like that one right over there and the other ones? You know that those things were the reopening of canals that were built more than 1,000 years. You all knew that, right? Yeah. Say what? The Holgam. That's right, by those people. And that is what my job was. They'd been working for 60 years trying to figure out where those people had lived and what their culture was like. And they had archaeological records and archival records 60 years worth of them, and I had to try and make some sense out of them. That was my job there. And so I got to work right on the other side of this huge platform mound, which is about the size of a football field, about 2 stories high, what's left of it. And that was the grand center of organization and of the culture of those people, the Hohokam, those who have gone. And while I was working there, they were undergoing some grand renovations. They got a bunch of money. They put in a community center. They put in a new parking lot. They re-adobe'd some of the ruins. They did a bunch of sifting and work. And they also put in a parking lot. And while they're digging the parking lot, they dug about, they do the big holes to put the lights in. You know what I'm talking about? Like those right there. And they dug about 4 feet down. And they found something I thought was really amazing. I felt really blessed to have actually been on site when they pulled this thing out of the ground. Now, the Holcom are those who have gone. And they're living here in the desert, and they always need to have water with them. That's my water. And the whole culture is based around water. If you look everywhere among the Holcom people, if you go all the way down south of Tucson, you go all the way up to Verde Valley. What do you find among that culture? You find shell ornaments, shell bracelets. You find evidence of the power of water and the need for water in that culture. And what they found down there, 4 feet under the ground, into what would become the parking lot about 40 yards in front of the grand entrance of Pueblo Grande Museum, was one of these things. Not this one, but one of these. No kidding. They found one of these things. Now, how I got this very one, that's another story, but it did taste good. Okay, I'll let you know that. But they actually found one of these under the ground. And it was so amazing for me because you know how smooth all those shells are on the inside, right? This one was that smooth in 2 other places too. Right here, where the hand gripped it, and right here on the mouthpiece was as smooth as the inside, because that horn had been played so much that it was that smooth on the outside as it was on the inside. Now, when I saw this thing come up and they laid it out on the exam table, I said, This is like some of that other artifacts that I've seen from native peoples, from the Membres and other things, that when the person who gave their energy into this artifact left the earth, this instrument had to be silenced. And so this fantastic instrument that had a mouthpiece smooth as a modern trumpet had the mouthpiece broken in half. Obviously, pow, broken in half, so no one else could put their energy into it and evoke the power that that one person had put in all through all that time into that instrument. So it was forever silenced. And I had to think about these people that had built this huge institution, that when people came out here from the East, from the Confederate States, and reopened those canals and saw the bounty, the possible bounty of this land, who were these people? And so I did some research. I mean, even more so than when I was there, because I was there for about almost 2 years working there. But when Doug asked me to help out, I said, I got to know a little bit more. And so I'm so glad I did, because many more discoveries had come up since the last time I had worked there. The theory back then, way back in the 90s, when I was working at Pueblo Grande, was that the Holcomb, which means those who have gone, disappeared because the canals eventually were leaching too many minerals into the soil. You know that, all the crust that goes in your shower head and around the sinks and all that stuff, all those minerals in the hard water leached out into the farmland with the irrigation, and when the water evaporated, all the minerals are left and it just killed the soil, so the people couldn't sustain their civilization anymore. That was the theory when I was there. Well, come to find out, they actually tested that, and they said it would have taken about 50 years for that to have happened. But this civilization lasted more than 1,000 years. So that was not the case. They did a lot more research, and they found out that if you look over, as I said, the Santa Cruz, the Gila, the Salt, all the Verde, all these rivers had the largest irrigation system in the New World, and perhaps the largest ancient irrigation system in the whole world was built here in Arizona. And these people dug with a gradient of just a few degrees for miles and miles, so the gravity could pull that water out and sustain huge communities of people. And as I said, they were spread out from south of Tucson all the way up nearly to Prescott. But in time, like I said, the only constant is change. I'm learning that with my body. As soon as I get used to it being one way, this knee will go out. I work on that one, and the shoulder goes out, and then I work on that, and something else goes out. Only constant is change. When the Holcomb were here, for that 1,000 years that they had, the climate was smooth and even. Good rainfall. Good rainfall. You've seen how the climate has changed with the rain just since I've been here. Watch the storms come and go all the way around that heat signature. Well, for that time that they were here, there were even rains and steady rains. But then, around the time that Columbus' parents were being born, it started to change, and it got drier and drier and drier. So all those communities spread all over moved in and had to centralize. So all those small canals that people could live off of dried up. So they had to build big urban centers like Pueblo Grande, like Casa Grande, so that people could be sustained off of huge tracts of land. And that worked for a long time. And that's when they used this to call the people in, to work the ceremonies that they needed to do, sighting the equinox and the solstice through hole in the rock, working the thousands and thousands of hectares of land that were needed to sustain all those people. And it was good. But as I said before, the only constant is change. So, around 1400, they had the worst flood in over 450 years. The Gila River and the Salt River became about twice as wide in their riverbed. All those canals, all those fields of food were washed away. And these huge centers, urban centers, suddenly had nothing to sustain themselves with. So this great civilization had to move out and move out and move out. And the story goes that as they were moving out, other people, now known as the Autumn, were moving in, according to this story that I read. And of course, when you have flux and change, there's confusion and conflict. So the story goes like this. The chief of the Black Sinews, the leader of the Hohokam, he knew that this battle with the Autumn people was going to be his last. And so he called his son to him and said, "Son, when I go out, I'm not coming back. But this is not going to be your fate. I want you to stay back, and after I fall, you run out to me. And as I breathe my last breath, as I breathe it out, you must be there to breathe it in, so that we as a people will sustain." And of course the son didn't want to do that, but the father insisted, say, "No, we must survive. I have to go. I have to pass on. But this whole people will stay. So you do as I say." So the son goes away and hides while he watches his father go to battle and fall. And when he does, he rushes out and kneels right by his father's face. So as his breath comes out, it is absorbed by his son. And this young man is picked up by the Autumn, who win the day and win the field. And he is raised among them and loved by them, so that he becomes a great fighter for them. He becomes betrothed to the princess of the Autumn. And he helps lead them out against the new invaders, because change is constant. And the new invaders, of course, Apache. And he was a great leader against them, but one day he went out, and just like his father, did not return. And his son, from the Hohokam father and the Autumn mother, was a great leader who was able, in time, to keep the Apache back. And so, the civilization and the land and the love of the land sustained from people to people to people. Now, if we here, if we get to be as lucky as the Hohokam, we'll be here till the year 3000. What do you think? You have a chance? We have a chance. We have a chance. I think we have that. And in honor of that hope, and the hope that we can be wise enough to live within the confines of Mother Earth, I'm going to sound the horn for the ancient ones and for the future of all of us.